Immuta's new Identifiers and Domains feature gives governance teams the power to create and manage identifiers that are tailored to specific business domains, like clinical, finance, or HR. By aligning identification to the context of each domain, data discovery becomes more accurate and scales automatically as data grows. Let's take a closer look at one example, our clinical operations domain. With identifiers and domains, we now have two types of identifiers in Immuta: reference identifiers and domain-specific identifiers. Reference identifiers are a library of reusable identifiers that can be added to domains. Once added, they become domain-specific copies. The identifiers you see here are domain identifiers that I've added to my clinical operations domain, like this patient ID. These identifiers only apply to the data sources in my domain and can be managed directly by the users who have the Manage Identifiers permission on this domain. If I want to add more identifiers to my domain, I have two options. I can either add from the reference identifiers list or create a new one. Let's start by adding one from the reference identifiers list. This library of identifiers includes Immuta's built-in reference identifiers for common data types, such as social security number, as well as any reference identifiers your organization's global data governors have chosen to add. Once I add a reference identifier to my domain, I can edit it as I see fit. For example, I could remove the resulting tag US and just keep the entity tag Social Security number in place. Now that we've added an existing reference identifier to my domain, I want to walk through creating a custom one. Before we do that, let's take a look at one of the data sources in my domain to see what might be needed. Looking at the provider data source, I can see that sensitive data discovery has already placed several tags on the column in this data source, and they're being protected by policy. However, I know that several of the tables in my domain have MRN. So let's head back to my domain to create a new identifier for medical record number. Before we create that identifier, let's jump over to our data platform real quick to confirm the format of this data. Confirming the format of the data allows us to create an accurate regex pattern to match the data. Back in my domain, let's walk through the process of creating a new identifier. We'll name it MRN, give it a description, and choose the criteria. In this case, we'll go with regex and enter the appropriate pattern. Here's where we'll apply the tags. We can choose from tags in the built-in discovered hierarchy, choose tags that we've manually curated in Immuta, tags from our catalog, or create a brand new tag directly in this workflow. We'll save this custom identifier and add it to the domain. Now, next time I run sensitive data discovery, an MRN tag will be applied to any columns that match that regex pattern. Let's take a look at that now. I can either manually run sensitive data discovery on all of my data sources within this domain, or I can head over to that data source and run sensitive data discovery just on that specific data source. After we run sensitive data discovery, we can see that Immuta has applied the MRN tag on the appropriate column. Once your data is tagged, you can use those tags to enforce policies, build classification, hierarchies for sensitivity or risk level, or just get better visibility into what data exists where. Back in our domain, let's walk through a couple of settings. To make identification more scalable, each domain has a setting to automatically run sensitive data discovery when new data is registered. In this clinical operations domain, all new data sources from the clinical database are automatically added to the domain. When that happens, Immuta automatically scans them for sensitive data using the domain's identifiers. Identifiers and domains brings automated, business-specific identification to your data, so you can discover sensitive data faster and with greater accuracy.